should Scotland legalise marijuana?
In terms of the arguments for it, obviously there's a lot of talk about, the technicalities of it, how much money it would bring in and that kind of stuff, and, would it affect people's mental health and things like that. And that's all fine. There's a lot of kind of debate about that, and I'm kind of in the side that actually, yeah, it would be fine, it wouldn't be a problem, and yeah, it would bring in a lot of money, get rid of a lot of crime. But for me, it's more of a deeper thing, so it's self-ownership. If you own your own body, you should be allowed to do with it what you want, and you should bear the consequences of that as well. So it's...
Yes, how do you feel about the taxation end of that question? Because as a libertarian, would you not rather it was just legal, none of the tax put onto it?
Yeah, grow my own. As long as I can grow my own, it'll be alright.
Weed's expensive enough illegal, though, without the tax, so...
It's so common. I'm not a big fan or a user, to be honest. I still prefer drinking, but pretty much everyone I know has smoked it forever and continue to do so. So it's like...
Could they advertise it? Because obviously, in cigarette advertisements, you can't do that anymore. But could you have TV adverts with people, I don't know, just sit about smoking weed, eating pizza or something? And I mean, how would that actually work? How would you sell it?
Surely it would probably just follow the same guidelines as tobacco is now. I'd say they're quite...
It could be good though.
To be honest, it's still I know it's an old argument, but alcohol is the worst drug in the Western society. I mean, I love it. We all drink it, but it's the one we all struggle with. But it's just accepted.
For me, the biggest change I think would be in terms of crime, because once you allow a legal process of producing and making this and selling this stuff, then that's a huge part of organised crime, just whipped right from underneath all these gangs. So should see a reduction in violence and
prisons obviously as well, because the prison population would go down significantly if you were to start really proper drug legalisation, because loads of people are just in there for really doing nothing wrong.
So there's a lot of people in jail for victimless crimes, and non-violent drug criminals should be released as soon as they change the law and that.
It's kind of hippie argument in a way, but especially in America, the amount of people's lives who have been ruined by sent to prison because they were growing a plant, it's ridiculous. I remembered I saw someone had a drink costing of the Transmit Festival. It's on Glasgow Green. It was like $7.50 for a vodka and coke. So you're asking when I would use it. If I'm going to a bloody music festival where they're charging that much for booze, save a fortune.
It's interesting that some of the music festivals now they're actually letting you test your drugs. Because it's just accepted folk are going to bring this stuff in, so we'd rather if they're going to do it, they don't die. So I'll let them test a tiny amount of their drugs, and then you can say, well, this is dangerous stuff, you shouldn't take it or whatever.
That's the big thing with all of this, and it's to do with sex work as well, that the minute you start decriminalising all this stuff, that you can add in a kind of health and safety element which prior would never be there, because it'd be in the hands of criminals alone, whereas now you can actually, in terms of sex workers, obviously the women and men can be looked after and cared for, and they're now employees of an employer, and all of that stuff would come under it. And likewise with drugs as well, you're going to know what you're taking because it will actually say it on a packet, and it will have to go through testing. So there's a lot of stuff there that I think would be really, really positive. Do you want to talk a little bit about minimum pricing?
I complain about it a lot, the whole minimum price and all these other kind of things like the sugar tax and soft drinks and stuff like that. And I kind of need to keep putting it in perspective, because it's not the end of the world if I'm paying an extra few pence and things, but compared to the injustice of throwing people in jail for gardening, basically, which you get with kind of the drug stuff. So it's a different ballpark, but at the same time, the principle for me is the same, in that it's we should be responsible for ourselves and allowed to make our own choices, even if those are bad ones, and bear the responsibilities of our choices. It's a bit self-ownership for me. My body, my choice.
Yeah, that makes fucking sense.
When it first got introduced, I was thinking people are just going to be making moonshine. That's not a way to stop alcoholism. But
I had to admit that I was guilty of having that opinion as well. It's they'll just homebrew, and no one's got time for that shit.
Well, that's what I came around
folk
to.
are driving down to Carlisle though and filling up their car.
Has anyone noticed an actual significant economic difference to their own drinking?
Only because I live 2 minutes away from a Morrison's. I'm in and out there fairly frequently, and I did. Well, I mean, in terms of it stopping me drinking, God no, that's not helped at all. But walking up the aisle, I've noticed the prices have shifted a little bit. So I guess I say has it. I could imagine now going in and thinking, the kind of a few cheeky cans after work may fade away. So I guess in the long term that actually might have a cumulative effect. Whereas now I might more reserve my alcohol for like weekend boozing or whatever else. So I guess maybe, yes, it has had an effect, but it'd be very subtle, which I guess is the idea. But in terms of me drinking to a responsible NHS approved level, God no, that's not had any effect on it whatsoever. So
yeah, it's not affected me. I'm middle class now. I drink Innocent Gun. So
what's the problem in it? It's like if you're rich enough, it doesn't make any difference to you, and if you're a hardened drinker.
And I think that was the big argument against it was, you know, if you're actually dealing with real alcoholics, this is just it's gonna cost them more money. And if you're dealing with an alcoholic, they're gonna put basically the funding for other stuff, i.e. like food and important shit, they'll just cut their budget for that and put it towards alcohol. And that is absolutely going to happen. There's no way a proper alcoholic will go into Morrison's and look at the prices and go like, oh God, better change now. This, to me, would be a very negative thing for the government to have done, because I think it will make them poorer. That may be a very extreme cases, though.
It's another argument for me for Scottish independence, in that once you have more control, you can actually say, we're going to actually, rather than do minimum pricing, it's going to be an extra tax, and then that tax is going to go into a long-term change in society. It'll have all these programs.
That got missed actually by a lot of people not understanding that it wasn't a devolved issue, basically. That the reason why we can't do it as a tax is because we don't have control over that. And I think a lot of people, when they were like, why are they doing it as minimum pricing, why aren't this? There was a guy in my work sat next to me that said that, and I had to explain that, going, well, they would have done it that way, but they can't because the powers. So, which is funny because he's a no voter, and it is quite amusing when you constantly bring up, well, why don't they do it like this? It's like, because we're not independent. That's the whole fucking point. Like, you know, and that happens all the time with no voters. They're going, the SNP are fucking this up, they're doing this wrong, and it's like, yeah, because they can't do it the way that it should be done logically, because we're stuck in this union.
I don't think there's that much difference, to be honest, in terms of like a lot of these kind of wee nudge policies in terms of between Holyrood and Westminster. I think they both like these types of ideas, like minimum price and sugar tax. Plastic straw bans. I notice you've got a whole load of plastic straws on your shelf there, Chris.
Stockpiling. Women love plastic straws. They have this big thing. I know I can't drink out of the can. Got a wee straw in it. Make my teeth good.
It's misogynist. They're saying women are destroying the oceans.
I'll cut that out. No, but I could go to a bar. Men aren't sat there with the straws, are they?
Yeah,
that's true.
It's true.
Right?
The ladies are responsible for this environmental catastrophe.
I have supped from a straw from time to time, I have to say.
Apparently it's bad for your teeth. It concentrates the sweetness on a certain area.
Well, there you go. It was one of my exes was insisting I have to have the straws to protect the teeth, and she's totally wrong.
I'm going to only use
about a number of things.
Which one carved from ivory in the future?
Say again, sorry.
I'm going to use straws carved from ivory. Endangered species.
Jesus Christ.
The sugar tax, I think the Scottish government actually got a lot of flag for that, but it was the Tories.
Yeah.
And they're the first to complain about this nanny state stuff, even though the sugar tax is probably the worst example of, ultimate nanny state. And that was their boy George Osborne came out with that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
I think there is a difference in terms of drug policy. Definitely in terms of, if you look at the social attitude surveys and stuff like that, Scottish people tend to be more in favour of legalising, cannabis at least.
Should we legalise anything else? Because then it gets more complicated. Because then it's like, do you do drugs like cocaine,
yes,
or ecstasy? But then it's like, if you do
cocaine
those,
is really good, to be fair.
then if you do those, it's like, should heroin be legalised?
Yeah, but those things can kill you in one hit.
Heroin's, I'm going to put that to one side. Like cocaine or whatever else, you could have that sold in packaging. You could be informed, safety warnings could be put on it, how to take it. I mean, to be fair, a lot of prescription drugs and so forth, and even over-the-counter things you get, it does tell you, here's do not exceed this dosage, do not do this with it, it's all there, and presumably that would happen with this. Heroin's a bit awkward because I think that is going to kill you regardless. Like, very few people fucking make it back from that shit.
Oh, it's just kind of being devil's advocate there. I think in the modern world, people know what drugs are pretty much a no-no and what can be a recreational. Like, how much of a market is there actually for heroin, really? It's all these softer drugs.
Yeah.
It's like, see Silicon Valley, it's full of these like millionaire, maybe sociopath CEOs. They're all microdosing psychedelics and everything. Like, and they're in charge of these multi-million startup companies. everyone's attitude is just kind of with drugs is just in the past. It's the same when you're growing up. It's just like drugs. Yeah. Whilst everyone around you is like dying of alcohol abuse, you know.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
You put on the TV, the two biggest football teams are sponsored by a lager, you know.
Aye.
There was an art teacher and a music teacher, and both of them had bottles of vodka in their drawer.
Aye.
And everyone kind of secretly knew it, but they didn't get, by that stage they didn't care. They're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we had a teacher like that as well. I think everyone has a teacher who had a half bottle of Glens. And did anyone ever actually see the Glens though? Did anyone ever actually see the bottle?
I think I did once with the music teacher, because they were out the class and we all went and opened the drawer and was like, oh. We had a PE teacher and he used to we used to go and knock the door and be like, Mr. McLafferty, what are we doing? And he would open the door, all this smoke.
I hope that isn't his actual name.
It's not, I made up a name. And he just used to roll the ball out, and like that was it. And we just go outside, like unsupervised. That's fantastic. Kick about in those ash pitches. And that was the 90s.
My school just got rid of the ash pitches. I was affronted.
I think that is a national heritage.
Lovely. The AstroTurf. They've
still got bits of it lodged.
I was going to say, every Scottish person's got like in their knee. It's never going to go away.
It's a rite of passage.
See, when it rained heavy, there used to be a river would form through the middle of the pitch, meandering towards the goal line.
Is the 2-for-1 pizza thing, is that like a sort of preemptive minimum pricing for weeds?
Let's keep going on this. Ban Jamie Oliver. That's the solution.
The best thing Jamie Oliver did is just kind of, he acted as a catalyst for all these brilliant tweets from Scottish people. I can't even think of any. Just these people that have never really tweeted about politics in their life, and they're just like, fucking Jamie Oliver. What was it? Someone said he's going to come round and suck the sugar out your tea. Which I thought was a brilliant tweet. It's one of those things you read and you go, I wish I wrote that. It's brilliant.
And look at the state of him.
He just seems like a miserable bastard. It's just like, cheer the fuck up.
Can't even treat his fucking staff properly. Has he not got a whole lot of shit going on at that restaurant in George Square?
Yes, I've heard. There's quite a few tweets that go out about his stuff quite regularly, actually, pointing out how crap his.
And all his menu items are just full of fucking sugar as well. Like it's like twice your daily recommended dose. It's like, yeah, it's only for middle class people who can afford to go to these restaurants. They're the ones that are allowed sugar.
I was very disappointed in Nicola Sturgeon, actually, because normally she does come across as quite a kind of like stand up to you strong person, but I thought of all the people to cave into, for fuck's sake. I mean, like, you're there going like, Donald Trump, we cannot stand for this, and she's getting really angry about this, and you're going like, it's only Jamie Oliver, that should be the easiest man to tell to get to fuck, you know.
No, I agree. Like, it makes you wonder how much does that drop SNP support?
Things that really bug me.
People are kind of like, they hear the simple stuff. They don't hear about the like Sturgeon, like, I've been to Brussels and back and I've done all this economic plan. All they see is her on TV going, nah, you can't have your cheap pizza. People go, well, fuck that then.
Yeah.
What is the name of that restaurant in George Square?
Well, like Jamie's Italian, is that not his thing? Is he got a different one there?
But he's not Italian. The restaurant's called Jamie apostrophe S Italian, but he's not Italian.
I think
he's
you should
English.
take a picture of that today with the caption. No, he's not.
I remember this was over a decade ago, but he went to like rural Italy. He was trying to learn how to cook, and he was trying to make pizza.
Finally,
yeah, no, exactly. He was trying to learn how to make like a proper pizza in the oven, and he was cooking for this Italian family, and he kept on burning every single pizza. And this old Italian granny was just shaking her head like, you fucking cunt. And he was just like sweating in this kitchen as all his pizza kept on burning.
He's resented pizza ever since.
Yes.
Is he just a man who likes to complain, who's just sort of adopted the persona of a chef, basically? Is that sort of, he just seems like he'd be the worst person to hang out with. What would you talk about?
Mineral water.
Because he can't even talk about food in a fun way. It's like he's taking something that's quite joyous in its own little way, going, isn't it great we live in a country where we can eat more or less whatever we want, live this wonderful life? And he's like, nah. no. And you're like, oh god.
Like some of the stuff he's going on about, if it was coming from someone who worked, I don't know, more in politics and health, and they were trying to come at it from that view, but he's just like this celebrity chef that's made all his money off this shit, and now he just wants to stick his oar in.
I love that video where he's showing the kids how chicken nuggets are made. And he's just like blending all this stuff in his horrible mush, and then he breads it and all and makes it. And he's like, so now do you all want? How many of you would want to have a chicken nugget? And they're all like, me.
What's great is there's a hesitation, and eventually one kid is like, yeah, and the rest of them are like, fucking. The thing is, he made them look brilliant. I watched them make it, and I was like, yeah, I did that. That was really good. Gourmet chicken nugget.
You like cooking, don't you? So
I like cooking, yeah.
Yeah. So any kind of comments on what we've seen from the chef? Because we've completed a little bit of his personality. Do you ever have a go for his food now?
Oh, his food.
Have you tried it? Have you done it? You got bought his chef book?
No, I wouldn't either.
On principle,
no, he's famous. He does all his like 5-minute cooking and stuff, doesn't he? That's his whole thing's meant to be easy cooking, but. Actually, I did follow one of his recipes on how to make. I don't know. What's that Portuguese custard tart? It's like they're really famous. I forgot what the name's called. But I made one of his, and he obviously half-arsed the recipe. And when I made it, I was like, "This tastes like shit." And so then I went and read the comments after it, and it was full of these Portuguese people going, "What is this abomination? Who is this English arsehole? He's destroyed this national dish." And I was like, "Yeah, it's disgusting." So that's my feedback on Jamie's cooking.
Cool. Do we want to just broaden this out to the nanny state? Does that term annoy anybody? I know the fucking IPA does. What is it? Brewdog nanny state. It's the alcohol free. I don't know
Brewdog
why.
can get fucked.
Yeah, we can slag Brewdog.
Yeah, let's slag off Brewdog.
Let's slag off Brewdog. Aye, okay.
What was the one that they did that was deeply misogynistic?
It was the pink IPA, and it was, but we were doing it ironically.
Yeah.
And again, if you shag a goat ironically, you're still shagging a goat. So they kind of backpedaled a bit on that. I don't think it was done ironically. I think they actually knew exactly what they were doing and just tried to kind of go, oh wait, no, we're making a comment
we
on
fucked
feminism.
Up.
Aye.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. But what was the other thing they tried to...
Well, I started to hate them because they promoted or were inside for minimum pricing, but not for any like ethical or like decent reason for getting folk off booze. They were just in it. They thought it was great because it'd be good for their business. Because they realised that people would stop buying less expensive stuff and buy their overpriced garbage instead.
When I was in Australia, they have they've been doing loads of IPAs just before they became popular. I actually became a fan of them there. So when I came back to Glasgow, like I went into Brewdog one day and I got like their taster thing, and they're all bad IPAs.
Yeah,
it's like they're not quite processed correctly. It's very yeasty, very too hoppy. So their actual product is kind of shit. They're not good.
I'm just not a fan of IPAs. They give the fucking worst hangovers.
That's true.
But you can still taste it.
It's
formed a solid at the back of your throat.
I went full circle. I went all the way to like the really wanky IPAs, and I was becoming, oh yes, do know. And once I came back to Glasgow, I was like, do you know what? Tennant's is a really good beer. I'm really quite happy drinking Tennant's.
Did you see the thing someone put on Twitter where apparently it was being served somewhere abroad as this like exotic IPA or something like
craft beer?
Craft beer, that was it, yeah. And it was this like long list of all these actually good craft beers and this Tennant's.
Yeah, and here. I like Tennant's as well. It's the ultimate hot weather beer. It's like licking the back of a 2p coin.
It's weird to like
taste the metal.
It's nice out of a can as well. Not many things are nice out of a can.
It does. It gets slagged off more than it should. I think.
I used to slag it off.
Tennant's loyal.
There's much worse. I mean, I think that Miller is horrendous. I mean, there's much worse kind of piss in a fucking bottle type.
Yeah, all the American ones are kind of piss water.
Are we shooting for sponsorship here? Is that how this happened?
I went on the Tennant's distillery tour. It's next to the Dry Gate Brewery. Brilliant little tour. I think it might even be like, it's only a couple of quid and you get to taste all their the beer at the end.
They also slag Brewdog on Twitter spectacularly. So
I think to be fair, Brewdog had a pop at Tennent's, and then pretty much everyone in Glasgow Twitter was like, "Fuck you, Brewdog." We all love Tennent's.
What is the Brewdog thing? Equity for punks? You pay like £500 and you're a stockholder or some shit. Have you seen this?
Yeah, there's some bollocks of that, but I don't know the details. But whatever it is, it's quite dodgy.
I remember in Alex Salmond's book, he describes meeting with the two executive people, and he's flabbergasted by their business model, and he describes this equity for punk thing as like the biggest con, and how it is business wise just the most genius thing ever. He's got hundreds of people just shitting money at them with no return whatsoever. Anyway, I read that.
So it's like a crowdfunding thing, wasn't it? It's
like a bit of a window into Alex's psychology, really, isn't it? You know,
I don't know.
It's the biggest con I've ever seen. Genius.
Go and find the passage. But I remember when I read it, thinking, yeah, that's fucked up.
What do you make of the whole like page 3 and what do you call them? The girls at the darts and Formula 1 and all that.
Oh, you mean like kind of ring girls you get like in the boxing, the ones that would walk around with the round cards and all that, and that's the F1 girls as well, the grid girls and all that. Yeah.
So I find myself in a bit of a weird situation where I'm quite often defending that kind of stuff, insofar as I don't really particularly like it, but I can see that if people want to do that as their job, I think they should have a right to do it, and it doesn't really bother me that much. But at the same time, I'm still arguing with someone else about like the burqa, you know, and that should be something that should be allowed to be a choice for a woman if she chooses to do it. But you know, I would say there probably is a kind of misogynistic thing. It comes from a bad place, so it's kind of weird. All these arguments, you find yourself like arguing for and against stuff at the same time.
I think it should still be the woman's choice, but I can understand the point that what has this actually got to do with boxing or Formula 1? So like if you go to a strip club or watching porn or whatever else, you go and it's like, right, this is what we're here for. And I think women want to be involved in that, that's absolutely fine. Same thing with guys want to be involved in it. But yeah, I think a lot of the grid girls in F1 were actually pretty pissed off about the whole thing because they love doing this for a living. They love getting paid to do it. They were very, very happy doing it, and it was completely their choice. So I can sort of see it from both ends, but ultimately, like, what has this actually got to do with racing?
I guess their argument would be that, you know, young girls and boys see that and it's further exploitation of women. That would be the argument. I'm more of the thing, if someone wants to pay someone to do it and like a woman wants to do it as a job, then yeah, why not? That's my general opinion.
Yeah.
It goes both ways though. Like, what's that show on TV? Is it Pole Dark?
The guy,
that topless guy everyone always...
he's actually a very good actor. I think he'd be a really good candidate to play Bond. But yes, I think he's constantly being asked by the producers to get his kit off.
But that's like a daytime morning thing. Like, you get all these look at the women hosts going, Pole Dart's back and let's look at this picture, doesn't he look so yummy? And you're like, is that not the same thing? I mean, it kind of isn't maybe from historical things, but you're like, it's still objectifying.
Well, the way I looked at it was that it was I went out with a feminist, and she was talking about how she didn't like Wonder Woman because of how Wonder Woman dressed and how this was objectifying her. And I kept thinking, like, did you see what the guys were wearing like in these movies? It's like they're all like, you know, fucking like massive pecs, 6-pack abs, and skin tight outfits. Going like, well, it's the same thing the other way around. And also, I don't really know what's necessarily wrong with it. Is there a reason why women can't be sexy, capable, intelligent all in one? I think what's a bit weird is we seem to have decided now that you either have to be not sexy, capable and smart, or sexy and stupid. Whereas I don't understand why these two things have to work against each other. Like, a man can be quite physically sexy and attractive, but also capable, intelligent, and doing it for himself and all this type of thing. Why can't she be awesome at what she does, really strong, capable and sexy? Like, why do we have to have this compartmentalised thing? Because men seem to be able to do that. Like, your male superheroes and your male leads seem to be able to have their sexy moment on camera. But that doesn't become an issue, even though it's kind of tapping into the same idea for, like, not just the ladies in the audience, but also for gay men, presumably, as well, that will like Pole Dark, he takes his shirt off a lot. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Women or feminists would argue, well, it's different because there's not the same historical connotations or the patriarchy. So if women are still being like objectified, then it's got all these links historically and viewpoints haven't changed. But then I'm more of a I don't know. You should cut this out because I don't know.
Yeah, I can.
Because it's 4 lads talking about.
Yeah, there's no. Tucker's not here, so just let us talk about women for a bit while she's away.